On a stormy night in 1971, a plane flew high above the ground. Inside, a quiet man in a business suit sat in his seat. He ordered a drink and looked out the window. He looked like any other person on the plane. But in his bag, he had a secret note. That note was about to start the most daring sky heist in history. The man was a mystery. We know him only by the name D.B. Cooper. He was a one-man crew, the mastermind of his own amazing plan. His weapon was not a gun. It was his calm voice and a piece of paper. He handed a note to a flight attendant, and with those few words, his plan began to unfold. The target was a big airplane, a Boeing 727. It was a metal tube flying hundreds of miles per hour. It was like a prison in the sky, with no way out. But this flying prison had a secret weakness. D.B. Cooper knew this model of plane had a special door in the back, a door that was the key to his escape. Cooper's demands were simple but very clever. He wanted $200,000. He also asked for 4 parachutes. The number 4 was a brilliant trick. The police thought he might force a hostage to jump with him. This meant they had to give him real working parachutes. The plane landed in Seattle to get the money and parachutes. The dark, rainy airport was filled with flashing lights. Police and FBI agents were everywhere, watching and waiting. This was the most dangerous part of the plan. The air was thick with tension. One wrong move from either side, and the whole thing could end right there on the runway. With the money and parachutes on board, Cooper gave his next strange command. The plane had to take off again. It was now headed south toward Mexico City, but the flight would be very unusual. He told the pilots they must fly low, never going higher than 10,000 feet. This was a very low height for a big jet. This first rule puzzled everyone on the ground. He also demanded the plane fly at a very slow speed, with its landing flaps partly down. The pilots knew this was possible, but it was not normal. It was a flight plan for something other than travel. This strange plan was actually a work of genius. By flying under 10,000 feet, the air pressure inside the cabin would stay almost the same as the air pressure outside. No sudden rush of wind. This meant a door could be opened safely mid-flight. The slow speed turned the jet from a speeding bullet into a more stable platform, making his next move much easier and safer. Cooper knew a secret about this specific plane, the Boeing 727. It had a feature that no other passenger jet had, a secret way out. It was the key to his whole plan. At the very back of the plane, hidden from the passengers, was a special staircase. This set of stairs, called an aft air stair, could be lowered down from the tail of the plane, even while it was flying. The jet roared down the runway and lifted into the dark and rainy night. The mood was electric with suspense. Only Cooper and a small crew were left on the plane. He gave his final instruction to the flight attendant. He told her to go into the cockpit with the pilots and not to come out. She closed the door behind her. D.B. Cooper was now completely alone in the main cabin. The bag of money sat beside him. The stormy night waited outside. He was at the point of no return. Inside the dark and shaking plane, the man known as Cooper was ready. He carefully strapped the heavy bags of money, all $200,000, to his body. The cash was his only partner in the sky. He walked to the very back of the Boeing 727. With a great push, he lowered the aft stairs. A loud roar of wind and rain filled the cabin. He stood at the edge, looking down into the black, stormy night, and then he leaped into the darkness. A few minutes later, a small red light flashed in the cockpit. It told the pilots the back door of the plane was open. They knew their strange passenger was gone. The plane flew on through the night. When the plane landed, police and FBI agents rushed aboard. They found an empty cabin. The mysterious man had vanished. All that he left behind were 2 of the 4 parachutes and his black clip-on tie, sitting on a seat. The search for the man began right away. But the place where he jumped was a huge, wild forest. It was filled with tall trees, high mountains, and cold, fast-moving rivers. A big storm raged that night, making the search even harder. Finding one person in such a giant, dark wilderness was like trying to find a single leaf in a whole forest. For weeks, hundreds of people looked. They found nothing. No parachute, no money, and no sign of the man. Years passed. Then, in 1980, a young boy was digging in the sand on the bank of the Columbia River. He found 3 bundles of old, rotting $20 bills. The money was wet and falling apart. Agents checked the numbers on the cash. It was a perfect match to the money given to Cooper. But it was only a tiny part of the $200,000. The discovery asked more questions than it answered. The man known as D.B. Cooper became a legend. He is the only person in America to get away with a skyjacking. For over 50 years, people have wondered, did he survive the jump? Did he live a new life with his money? The ghost of the sky was never found. The legend of D.B. Cooper grew because his plan was so simple. He did not ask for $1 million or a fancy car. He demanded $200,000 and 4 parachutes, things the airline could get quickly. This made his threat feel very real. He was a quiet man who knew exactly what he wanted. The search for Cooper was one of the biggest in history. The FBI had thousands of agents looking for him. They searched the dark woods for any sign. They talked to everyone who might have seen something. But the man they were looking for was like a ghost. The only name they had, Dan Cooper, was fake. For years, the case went cold. No new clues were found. It was as if the man, the money, and the parachutes had all disappeared into the stormy sky. The mystery only grew deeper with every passing year. People started to wonder if he had survived the jump at all. Then, years after the hijacking in 1971, a boy found something amazing. He was playing by a river far from where people thought Cooper jumped. He found 3 bundles of old money buried in the sand. The money was wet and falling apart, but the numbers on the bills matched the money given to Cooper. This small discovery only created more questions. Why was only a small part of the money found? How did it get to this river? Did Cooper lose it during his jump? Or did he bury it there to come back for it later? The money was the first real clue in years, but it solved nothing. Because of what Cooper did, a big change was made to all Boeing 727 planes. A new part was added to the back stairs. It was a simple lock that stopped the stairs from opening when the plane was in the air. This small piece of metal was called the Cooper vane. This showed how smart Cooper's plan was. He used the plane's own design to make his escape. His simple, clever trick changed how airplanes were made forever. No one could ever copy his daring escape from a Boeing 727 again. Over the decades, many people have claimed they were the real D.B. Cooper. The FBI looked into every story. They checked fingerprints and facts. But every single person who came forward was found to be lying. The real Cooper remained a secret. The case is still open today, the only one of its kind in America that has never been solved. The mystery of the man known only as D.B. Cooper has become a famous folk tale. He is the ghost who hijacked a plane and leaped into legend. Did he survive the jump and live a quiet life with his money? Or did he fall into the dark woods that night, lost forever? No one knows for sure, and that is why the story of D.B. Cooper is a mystery that will never be forgotten.